For World Challenge fans, the off-season has been far too long, but that ends today. They have piled into St. Petersburg, Florida for the opening round of the Pirelli World Challenge Championships. World Challenge is underway.
Deep on the brakes. They're still side by side.
We may be going for second. Multi-class racing in World Challenge is back. Coming up hard. Welcome to the Acura Sports Car Challenge of St. Petersburg, presented by Pirelli. Hi everybody, I'm Greg Creamer. This is the 22nd consecutive season of World Challenge competition and some wonderful new developments. A new title sponsor, and once again, opening up in a setting that is absolutely spectacular here on Florida's Gold Coast. The marina in the background has a very Monaquesque feel to it, and that we are absolutely thrilled to be here. Once again, a huge event and a huge season. A doubleheader. You're getting a twofer here on the streets of St. Pete. Some spectacular racing, and of course with the opening 2 rounds unfolding, lots of new developments, and we're going to be bringing you a lot more information on that as this show unfolds. As I said, it's a twofer. The biggest story might be almost 50 cars in the 3 classes are going to be starting on the streets of St. Pete. It is going to be jam-packed. It is going to be intense. Another development we have this year is an analyst in the booth that is very familiar to World Challenge and sports car racing in general over the years. I'd like to welcome to the broadcast for this season a great friend of mine as well, Calvin Fish. Hey, Cal.
Hey, Greg. Thanks. Great to be back, and certainly looking forward to an exciting season ahead. Now, when watching the Pirelli World Challenge, it's easy for first-time viewers to perhaps get a bit lost with all of these different types of cars that are racing. But have no fear, it's time for the basics of World Challenge. There are 3 distinct car classes. The GT cars have a black bar across the windshield. They are high-performance sports cars, and major modifications are allowed, but these cars are still true production-based race cars. GT is the fastest class with over 450 grand-thumping horsepower. The GTS class is identified with a grey stripe and includes a very eclectic group of manufacturers, Japanese and German engineering versus American muscle. You can modify the suspension, and horsepower is between 300 and 425. The 3rd class is touring car, denoted by the windshield's yellow stripe. The body style is that of a compact car, but you must be able to seat 4 adults, and touring cars are very close to street legal, with modification primarily allowed for safety. Power ranges between 180 and 260 horsepower. Now you can master the secret of sports car wars. You're actually getting 3 races in one. Remember, when watching multi-class racing, look for the chassis type and the color on the windshield.
Well, Cal, amongst those 3 classes, the field here at St. Petersburg is almost 50% bigger than it was last year. The paddock is absolutely packed. And what that means is there's some great stories. Sure, we've got the returning veterans, some of them legends, but we've also got some newcomers. But great stories all, so we thought it might be a good idea to give you an idea of who you might want to be paying attention to this year. And the reason is this year's lineup is simply loaded. And pacing the GT field has got to be returning champ Randy Popes. 4 wins, 8 poles last year stamped him truly as a favorite. But how about Andy Pilgrim? He had 1 win last year. He now switches to a new but familiar team. And he's joined by veteran Johnny O'Connell, who's ready to make his mark caddy style. James Safron is always a threat and wants to better his lone win last year, as does vet driver Mike Skeen. Leading the charge for Viper is Jason Daskalos. Rob Morgan finished a career best 6th in the championship last year. Tony Gaples earned 9 top 10s and finished 8th in the points. And in only 9 races, Pat Lindsay earned 10th in the points and moves to Corvette. Now, for the GTS class, you got to go with Petey Cunningham. Won 8 races last year in his record 6th championship. An amazing season for the veteran. And for the team, as his teammate, Nick Kasayan, was last year's runner-up in the points and returns, former Rookie of the Year. Bill Ziegler moves to GTS in a Mitsubishi Evo, and defining young gun, 15-year-old Alec Udell, the youngest competitor ever in World Challenge. The Ford Mustang Army will roar with returning vet Paul Brown, also with Brad Adams, and former Rookie of the Year, Eric Foss. In the touring car division, former GT champ Lasse Aschenbach will chase another championship. Shea Holbrook wants to improve on her 6th place points finish last year. Eric Meyer earned runner-up last year. And 7-time winner Chip Herr is ready to mix it up. Just a few of the names, but guess what? There are contenders everywhere.
And Greg, we expected surprises, and we already have one in today's touring car pole setter. We caught up with him after qualifying.
my expectations and our whole idea coming into this for the first weekend, the opening race for World Challenge, is just to keep the nose clean. With 50 cars, there are almost twice as many cars as there were last year. We didn't get to make this race last year. We made it to VIR at the end of the season. We want to continue to run the whole season, and we just want to keep our nose clean, keep our heads up on the start. We're in the kill zone for sure in touring car in the back, so we're just going to try and make it through those first couple laps nice and clean, and then foot to the floor and let everything develop from there.
Well, we expect more surprises this season as we look at the rest of the schedule. What a fantastic slate of venues to look forward to as we visit the most exciting circuits in North America. Well, cars are on the grid. There's a look at Eric Meyer, last year's championship runner-up in touring car. And there's some changes in that class this year. We asked Eric to explain.
There's a lot of changes in World Challenge this year, one of them being the new tire. It's a Pirelli tire. It's a lot grippier than the tire last year. Allows you to go faster. Because you're going faster, you need to brake harder. Touring car, which is the class that we run in, has an official stop tech brake, and the stop techs allow these bigger, grippier tires to slow the car down more quickly. They're beefy, they're more robust, they cool better, and quite frankly, they're in a brake package that you want to have. They have larger calipers that hold a larger pad, and that's very important.
Steve, tell us about the package that everybody's running.
It really started with the winning team last year using an option from the OEM provided by TRD, really seeming to have an advantage over the rest of the field. And that created an opportunity for the other teams to switch to stop tech. Then we also have quite a few GTS and GT cars. So DMG Porsches, Patrick Long, a number of the other teams.
There you have it, Stop Tech Brakes, the official brake of World Challenge and Steve Ruiz. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Well, and Steve teased one of our surprises we'll talk about. Here's the VW pace car, the official pace car rolling off now to the command to get this underway.
On behalf of Pirelli Tire North America and our friends at Optima Batteries, drivers, start your engines.
And the guy on pole is going to be Pat Long. That's the surprise Steve Ruiz was alluding to. Signed only this week for True Speed, and he's on pole, joined by the Corvette of Mike Skeen, one of the revelations of last year. Our next row is James Sofronis and Randy Pobst, two veterans, and Pobst, of course, the defending champion in the Volvo. In row number 3, it's Dino Crescentini and Johnny O'Connell, top of the Cadillac drivers in qualifying, and great to have that program back. Rob Morgan and the other Cadillac of Andy Pilgrim fill out row number 4. We move to row 5. It's Tony Rivera and Steve Ott in the beautiful Nissan GTRs. Great to have them back for Brass Monkey Racing. In row 6, Tony Gables, a veteran in the Corvette, and Tommy Dreese, his first full season in World Challenge, this year in a Porsche. And then Fred Roberts and Patrick Lindsay fill out the 7th row. Then we go to the 8th row, Jason Carter over from the GT3 Cup Series, and Jason Daskalos in the Viper.
And leading row 9 is our GTS pole sitter Eric Foss, who'll start alongside Paul Brown. On row 10, we have the youngest driver in the field, Alec Udell, alongside the veteran P.D. Cunningham. On row 11, Jensen Van Klug alongside Chris DeSalvo in the Ford Mustangs. And in row 12, Nick Asayan returns the runner-up in the touring car class last year. He'll start alongside George Winkler. Richard Gulanello starts alongside Ernie Jakubowski in the Porsche Cayman. And Brad Adams is in the Ford Mustang alongside Artie Topi in the Chevrolet Camaro. And Ben Crosland returns as the leading Mustang runner from last year, and Tom Felt is in the Honda S2000. And Bill Ziegler completes the GTS field.
And joining him in row 16, the touring car pole sitter Tristan Herbert did a great performance. Next row has Chip Herr and Lawson Ossenbach, a couple of veterans in terms of World Challenge competition. Row 18, Eric Meyer, last year's points runner-up, and Ron Zitza making his first ever start in the VW. Patrick Seguin from Canada comes down in the Segs Motorsports entry. He's joined by rookie Ray Mason. Brett Sandberg and Aaron Povaledo in row 20, and Povaledo in one of those new K-Pax Racing Volvo C30s. Row 21, the veteran Charlie Solomon, and Rob Holland continuing in World Challenge. Then in row 22, Carl Hober and Shea Holbrook in her Honda. In the 23rd row, Don Ishtuk and Devin Cates, both of them in VWs. Coming up on row number 24, Carolyn Puyola and her VW Jetta, and Colin Cohen, a rookie in the VW GTI. And completing the field, rookie Thomas Allen driving one of the Compass 360 Hondas. And when we come back, that 49-car field is going to be doing a standing start into a very tight turn 1. Today's coverage of the Pirelli World Challenge Championships are brought to you by Sunoco, the official fuel of over 40 series of driving, racing, and winning. The Cadillac V-Series, 556 horsepower CTSV coupe, sedan, and wagon, the world's fastest family of cars. And by Pirelli, powers nothing without control. It's a stunning day in an equally beautiful location. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Acura Sports Car Challenge of St. Pete, presented by Pirelli. And Cal, in the paddock, we have a true sports car superstar.
Yeah, Johnny O'Connell is back full-time in World Challenge. He'll start 6 today, but first he'll take us through the Cadillac CTSV key corners of the track.
Driving down the front straightaway here at St. Petersburg, and in my Cadillac CTSV. We're getting up into 6th gear here. You can see me going through the gearboxes. Hard on the brakes around the 400 mark, down into 2nd gear for turn 1. Slide in the car a lot. Using a little bit of the curb, up into 2nd gear, 3rd gear, up through 4th gear, going through turn 3 here. And we're running this whole area, 5, 6, 7. Very busy in the cockpit. Up into 3rd, back down to 2nd for 8. Carrying 2nd. Down through turn 9, still in 2nd gear, now onto the back straightaway, up into 3rd. Up into 3rd gear, 4th gear, through 11, 12, trying to carry your speed. Up into 13, the hairpin, back down to 2nd. Hopefully your traction control is working really good, using the car coming out all the way outside. And once again up the gearbox and hopefully looking down and seeing a great lap time.
There's a look at Johnny's car on the grid, the beautiful Cadillac CTSV Coupe. You know, every one of these cars set amazing times in qualifying on these tires. Pirelli, not only the title sponsor, but their technology is taking this series to a new level.
A year ago exactly, we were here at St. Pete looking at the World Challenge Series. What we've done is we've taken this series from a very good high-performance street tire to a real racing slick. And as a result, the teams now have much more traction on the ground. The cars can go faster, they can stop faster, and they can turn quicker, and it makes for much more exciting racing. What you're going to see here is average lap times from the fastest cars to the slowest cars. There'll be about 10 miles an hour difference.
The series is a whole new animal this year. We got the new sponsorship from Pirelli, which is a great thing for World Challenge. What that means is a lot more grip. I love the tires. They're terrific to drive.
The feedback has been excellent from all the drivers. The GTs are seeing about 4-second improvement in lap times, and that's really driven by technology. As I'm sure you're aware, this year we are the official tire supplier for Formula One, which is absolutely the limit of motorsports. This is a great weekend for Pirelli, the inaugural race for the Pirelli World Challenge here in St. Pete.
Well, records were obliterated in qualifying. It's been a joy to watch these tires at work. Now, we've got some great onboards courtesy of Racekeeper, and here are 4 key ones. The Racekeeper quad box. In the upper left, it's Lasse Aschenbach in the touring car Honda. In the upper right, it's Golinello in the Mustang. On the lower left, it's Eric Foss, pole sitter in the GTS category. In the lower right is Rob Morgan in the beautiful True Speed Porsche. That's your quad box. We are just about ready to go racing here. As always, it's a standing start. When the red lights go off, we go racing in round 1 of the 2011 Pirelli World Challenge Championships about to unfold. Watch for the lights. They're on. Revs coming up. Field is clear. We're green.
Look at Randy to the outside of row 2. That all-wheel drive Volvo gets the launch.
He absolutely nailed it. You would expect nothing less. And then, nice piece of defensive driving in there to make sure Patton didn't get back and through.
Everyone trying to funnel down through that very tight turn 1 area. This is where problems can happen. 3 different classes, 49 cars taking the green light there today.
2, 3, 4 abreast in some spots and long already. Taking a look at Randy Popes, not able to get the job done. Up into turn 4, and this is that part of the track that Johnny referred to as incredibly busy in the cockpit.
It's really tight, and right now what the drivers are doing is just trying to generate some tire pressure, get some tire temps so they don't make a mistake. Remember, this is a long championship season. You want to get off to a strong start. You don't want to throw it away here in the early laps.
And of course, with the speed differential between the GT cars, the GTS cars, and the touring cars, it's going to be interesting. as I think they're going to be catching traffic mighty quick here. Very, very tricky corner here. That's down into turn 10, and I'm impressed, Cal. Everybody has gone through this opening lap so far clean. This huge field doing the job.
Very good start. You could see there Pat Long having a look at Randy down at the inside of turn 10. Thought better of it, but Pat really seems to be able to eat up those curbs with that Porsche. They've got a good setup, it looks like, with the suspension settings for this street circuit.
And we talked a little bit about the surprise of Pat Long. It was just earlier this week that True Speed, and Ziegler in the Mitsubishi Evo, a big problem, got it crossed up. Let's see if we can see what happened.
Oh, Crosland gets to the inside of him and just turfs him into the fence, Greg. Pretty aggressive move.
And interestingly, both of those gents started in pit lane after some problems on the formation lap. Back to the action, but I was talking about Pat Long. It was just this week when the True Speed team signed him, and just an amazing development for him. Now, of course, this is a standing start. We have the Optima Battery's best standing start, and we're going to take a look at it here. Watch the field screaming through, and Aaron Povoleto in the C30 Volvo, an amazing launch, made up a number of positions. Look at that move as he's working his way through a huge field of cars. Nice job.
Well, sometimes that aggressiveness will certainly pay off, but you have to be careful. Look at O'Connell now in the caddy. He's starting to get into a rhythm here.
That beautiful silver machine P6 getting hounded a little bit right now. That's Rob Morgan right behind him in his Porsche, and Crescentini in front in the StopTech Centric Parts Porsche, just going out of view. Good battle here for this 6th spot.
Morgan obviously a teammate to Pat Long. They're going to be running with the True Speed colors this year, but problems there for one of the Nissans.
Tony Rivera, that left front corner is damaged. It must have made some contact perhaps. Although it doesn't look like there's damage to the bodywork, so let's see if we can suss this one out, Cal. On board.
On board with him. This is turn 9. Clips the inside apex, and that launches him into the outside wall. So easy to happen here on this street circuit at St. Pete.
Yeah, your limits are clearly defined on a street circuit. Randy Popes continues to lead. Volvo has upped their program, and Randy Popes would like to defend that championship.
Volvo has upped their involvement with our K-Pax team. World Challenge is really growing. Pirelli's on board, and it's all part of making a great show for the fans. It is not going to make it easier to win races or to win the championship.
Well, they're certainly putting on an awfully good show right now. Pat Long pretty much relentless in his hounding. Long really swinging the back out. Got some great rotation.
Yeah, he really started to put the pressure on Randy Popes there, but some problems there. Herbert there. I believe that's our pole sitter in the touring car class. Tristan Herbert flips the outside wall. We're now on board with Aschenbach coming through that fast kink.
Sitting in that 3rd spot right now. And Chip Herr and Herbert. Boy, look at that, man. That's Herbert's wheel just came off, didn't it? That's the left front wheel of Herbert, obviously from that contact, Cal. Take another look at it.
Chip Herr down to the inside, but there you see the problem. That's why Tristan was slow through that corner. And Chip takes the lead, and Aschenbach is right there with him.
Great piece of evasive to get around that tire. Well, let's take a look at our 3 class leaders here in St. Pete. Randy Popes leads overall, and in GT, Paul Brown in GTS, and Lawson Aschenbach in touring cars. And we are back at the Acura Sports Car Challenge in St. Petersburg, presented by Pirelli. Great action on the track. You see that blue Mustang that just headed around the corner, part of some contact. First, let's take a look again at what happened to Tristan Herbert.
There he gets together with Chip Herr, who now assumes the lead in touring car.
Running with a wheel, but not much rubber on it. And then as that blue Mustang I talked about, this is Chris DeSalvo making his first start. He got into a bit of a shoving match right there.
Yeah, just gets really crossed up there going down into turn 1, and then tries to recover. He goes through that next series of corners, but you can see there has been some contact there, either between he and another car or the wall on the outside.
He got nerfed. As we hop on board now in the office with Randy Popes, and this is that battle for the... Wow! Oh, what a move around the outside in the kink. You can't do that here.
That is really wild, coming down through that corner. 5th gear for these boys, and Pat Long makes the move. Our pole sitter now out front.
And Cal, that might prove problematic for Randy because that Volvo likes to lead.
It does, and we're now starting to encounter some of the lap traffic, and for the Volvo, with the amount of boost that it has, it doesn't get that immediate engine response that the Corvette will have right behind, so Mike Skeen may be able to take advantage in this traffic situation.
Well, I'll tell you, after Mike's performance at Mid-Ohio last year, that team said, we want to put together a package and have him in the car full time, and he is glued to the back of Randy Popes. I don't know if he's going to be able to get through there now. Let's go back to the GTS category. On board with the leader, that's Paul Brown. If that name sounds familiar, he's been racing Mustangs of some sort in World Challenge for a lot of years.
He's renowned for his car control, and he's certainly going to be leaning heavily on those skills around this very tight street circuit here today. There you see traffic right up ahead of these leaders in the GTS class. That will compromise Paul Brown's exit speed. And this is going to be a fascinating battle as we see the American Muscle, which will have the horsepower and straightaway speed, versus the cornering ability of PD's TSX.
And of course, PD is the legend in World Challenge, leads in virtually every category, including wins, poles, and starts as well. And boy, he gets that Acura rotated nicely. See a little bit of smoke coming out. I think it was just a little tire rub as he's on it so hard. And that's Brett Sandberg has gone into the wall, and that's a blind corner. Everybody doing a nice job feeding their way through this point. So,
he's getting out of the car.
Oh, that was Eric Meyer, and that's Shea Holbrook getting into him, and Sandberg sitting on the. Boy, he's waving.
Oh, that's potentially disastrous there. You got to stay in the seat. You got to keep those seat belts on until the corner workers get to you. That is not the move that the driver should make in this type of situation.
You got to think maybe he smelled some smoke or something. This is On Board with Eric Meyer. Watch this.
Coming through turn 9. Nowhere to go. Speed of the car just dictated he needed all of the road to get there, and there you see the number 28 into the wall.
Another look at it from that same camera. There's Brett getting out. Here comes Meyer.
I just hope he wasn't injured there, Greg. That is 2 big hits, and here comes another car.
This is with Shea Holbrook, and she's third in. Watch here.
There's nothing you can do. You just don't have the grip to change direction that quickly, so no fault on the 3 cars that were involved there after the initial incident. But from a driver's perspective, you've got to stay in the car. You've got to stay in the seat. Keep those seat belts tight until you get released.
Oh, no, and a problem for the 06. That's the 15-year-old Alec Udell. It's a completely separate incident. We'll check in on that. But right now, let's check in with Sandberg's crew.
I know we were in P2 at the point, and next thing we know it, we saw on the big screen that it looked like our car wasn't running anymore. The driver was out of the car before we got in contact with him, probably for safety reasons, so we're waiting to hear just like you guys.
Boy, a concerned Morgan Sturgis there. That's Holbrook. That's Sandberg, and you can see he's limping a little bit, but boy, as bad as that could have been, that's good news to see. And also you can see Shea Holbrook was getting out of the car. Obviously, we are under a full course caution at this point. Going to take some time to clean things up. Meanwhile, let's check in with Shea Holbrook's crew chief.
We're not really sure what happened. We're watching the monitors, saw Shea get into the back of somebody. Right now we're just hoping she's okay, and we're waiting to see what's going on.
Well, the first concerns, of course, for all of these crews is making sure their drivers are okay. And then secondly, remember, these cars have got to be fixed and trying to get ready for the race here tomorrow afternoon.
And you have a look at the top 4 in each of the 3 classes. We're under caution. We'll be back. The Pirelli World Challenge Championships are brought to you by Volvo, Volvo for Life, by StopTech, world-class brake components and systems for high-performance vehicles on street and track, and by the Bob Bondurant School of High-Performance Driving, recognized internationally as the leading authority on driver training. And the pace car leading Pat Long, Mike Skeen, Randy Popes, James Safronis, and there's Dino Crescentini, as well as the caddies, as we are under this long full-course caution. And here's what precipitated this caution, and it was a pretty significant incident, Cal.
Yeah, it really was. Coming through turn 9, you can see here the car is off to the side, and then others come around that corner and just collect him as the driver's trying to escape, and that could have been a seriously bad situation. We got lucky on that one.
Brett Sandberg is in pit lane.
The next thing we know, you're in the wall. Tell us what happened.
You know what, I just got caught a little bit on the inside. Just clipped that inside wall, pushing me straight out into the other wall. There wasn't really much I could do about it.
And more good news, there is Shea Holbrook, obviously okay, heading down to the pit lane. And Eric Meyer, too, has made his way back into the pits. We were able to catch up with him.
We had a late yellow flag coming in. I think it was turn 11, and there was no place to go. And luckily, Brett Sandberg, I hit the back of his car, and he was getting out of his car, and I immediately thought I just killed my buddy. You know, I sawed him in half. And about that time, Shea didn't have any place to go, and she rear-ended us hard, thinking that we'd pit pinned Brett a little bit more. Kept looking at Brett. He's like, I'm okay. And then we got out of there. I think our car's done for the weekend. Hopefully we'll get it back together and make Long Beach.
Boy, and I'll tell you, Cal, for Brett, he must have smelled smoke or something in the cockpit to try and exit the car in that position.
Yeah, because you've just got to stay put until the field is basically under wraps and you've got some corner workers there to direct you out of the race car.
And folks, if you're into fantasy league sports, well, you can enhance your World Challenge racing fun by joining at world-challenge.com/fantasy league. It's presented by Bondurant. You can join the league today for your chance at a 4-day Bondurant Racing School program valued at $5,000. And if you're into the Tweet League, well, you can join World Challenge Twitter account at twitter.com/WC Racing. Receive instant updates on race weekends from the series itself. All right, we just got word we will be going green next time by, and look at Mike Skeen all over the back of Pat Long.
Yeah, Pat Long now has a new challenge in terms of Mike Skeen. That Corvette has looked very strong here all weekend long. He knows how to win. He did it on debut last season at Mid-Ohio. Now Pat's bringing them down really slowly there. Really, they've got to maintain the speed of the pace car. This is a very slow restart here for Pat Long. Let's see how the field reacts to it. They're starting to bunch up. Pat's going to try and get the launch here as we start lap 19.
Now, you'd think the guy he's trying to hurt may be the Volvo with that big turbo in it and all that lag, because you know that Vet's going to go in a hurry. And look at Crescentini, moves way to the right. The caddy tucks in behind him. Gaples wanted to go as well, but he got blunted by the Nissan. And Crescentini thinking about it, Cal. No, not going to get by Skeen.
Look at Pope.
Pope's got freight train.
He got swallowed there. You'd have to think maybe that was that turbo again on the Volvo. He was waiting for Pat Long to go, got caught up in that situation, and he has lost a bundle of positions there.
And Long quickly opens up a couple 3-car length gap. Crescentini in that red, white, and black Porsche. And look at O'Connell all over the back of Sofronis in that silver caddy.
Steve Ott, I think they're getting a little bit loose down into turn 4 in that Nissan.
And we get back to the GTS category. This is Paul Brown, and look at Jason Von Klug. Oh, that orange Mustang just deep down the inside. He must have timed that restart perfectly.
That was a great move, but a pretty hairy one too. You're really taking some chances there. Remember, the tires aren't back up to snuff just yet. Takes a little bit of a while to get them cleaned off, get the pressures back, because that was a very lengthy yellow we were under there.
That was from 4th, I think, into the lead on that restart. Oh, and look at Brown lighting the tires up as he comes out of turn 10. Actually, that was Eric Foss who's giving it the welly here, trying to go after Brown. Brown takes a look at Von Klug down into the hairpin. Von Klug covers it and back onto the front straight one more time. And you see a little bit of smoke coming out of the back of Brown's car.
Yes, you do. And right now we've got the Mustangs running 1, 2, 3 as Petey Cunningham now tries to respond, tries to get that Acura back towards the front of the pack. He's down the inside looking for that 3rd position, heading down into turn 1.
Yeah, those 2 lead Mustangs are the new Boss 302S, looking impressive on their debut. Here's awesome Lawson Aschenbach. Great to have him back in the series. He's in the lead, and by virtue of a mechanical problem for Chip Hurd, that contact we saw a little bit earlier in the show with Tristan Herbert actually cut Chip's tire. It was just a slow deflation, and so that's how he was able to sneak through. Meanwhile, Pat Long out front, and Mike Skeen sits in second. He got into second right before that caution fell. And let's take a look at our 3 class leaders. In GT, it's Patrick Long in the Porsche, Jason Von Klug in the Mustang in GTS, and in Touring, Lawson Aschenbach. Closing in on the time limit here at the Acura Sports Car Challenge of St. Petersburg, presented by Pirelli. Pat Long continues to lead through that long caution. We are up against the time limit. So Pat right now is in absolute full race mode, trying to prevent Skeen and Crescentini, the 2 cars behind, from running him down.
What a move by Crescentini on that restart. He came from deep in the pack all the way up to 3rd. He's won here before. He knows how to get the job done, but I think the gap between he and the 2 leaders may be a bit too much right now with no traffic immediately ahead as the laps dwindle down.
But look at Skeen. He is really hounding Pat Long. And you know what? When he showed up in World Challenge, we had to talk with the team, and they said, we've been hearing about this guy and watching him in Trans Am. He won Rookie of the Year, older equipment, always qualified front row. When he didn't break because of the age of the equipment. He was always right there. We think he's pretty special. And after Mid-Ohio, they said, we want him for the next season.
Well, Nick Short, who runs CRP, has always had a great eye for talent within the various series, and he's got 2 stellar drivers this year with Skeen and Pat Lindsay. I think they're going to have a great year. But right now, he's trying to close that gap, looking back in the field. Here's O'Connell. Pope's now on the charge after that terrible restart. This is a battle for 5th.
And Johnny O'Connell feeling the heat from the 4-time champion in Randy Popes. You know, talk about 2 superstars in sports car racing duking it out here. And look at O'Connell, has to be a little defensive. Popes takes a look down to the inside. Not quite enough run. And O'Connell pretty effective on the brakes, able to stave him off for now. But you know, Popes going to be pretty relentless.
He really can, but you'd have to think about tyre wear a little bit at this point of the race. We had that long caution period, so it shouldn't be a big factor here. But look at the latest design of that caddy. It's got that gooseneck design on the rear wing, latest technology from Pratt & Miller, and they're having a great run here today.
Meanwhile, up front still, Pat Long leading in GT and in the overall category over that Prager Wheels Corvette of Skeen. Long in that Privacy Star Entrust Porsche. You know, he's, as we've talked about, he's the only U.S.-born Porsche factory driver, and it was a huge coup by the True Speed team to be able to sign him. And he's got one previous start in World Challenge, but he's raced here on the streets of St. Pete many times in the American Le Mans Series.
Well, look at this battle in GTS. Von Klug still has the lead from Brown, but it is very intense here. That was a great move that he made down at the turn 1. There you see Brown all over the curb there, coming through turn 10. But there's still some smoke coming out the back end of that Mustang.
Boy, and Petey Cunningham is giving Eric Foss huge headaches in that battle for third behind. And Paul Brown, by the way, I talked about, he's driven World Challenge with Mustangs. Oh, Von Kluge got a little sideways. Looked like he may have lost it. And Long, huge traffic. And Skeen able to go through, but I don't think he was able to get the advantage.
Well, oh! Spin there by Felt. Long nips through, but look at Skeen. He's got damage. Crescentini's by, as is Sophronis.
Oh, big damage to that left front corner from Mike Skeen. And looks like Felt just lost it on board with Felt. Watch here.
Turn 8 just gets in a little too deep, loses the rear end, and bang! The leader goes through, and Skeen's day is over.
Oh, man, and he was having a good look at a potential run for the lead. And because of that, Crescentini is up into second, but team owner for Crescentini is James Sophronis in that Global Motorsports car all over the back. But now Pat Long has himself a large breathing gap here. Last time out of turn 14, rolls the throttle onto that beautiful Porsche, and Pat Long returns to World Challenge and promptly wins. Crescentini's going to do it in second, and the crew absolutely ecstatic for True Speed. Well, they got themselves a gun, and he certainly fired a great bullet here in this opening round.
Unbelievable. Porsche 1, 2, 3. The Corvette was looking so strong. Post was a factor, but a great day for the German Mark.
Absolutely. Now in that GTS category, Von Klug able to hang on in that orange Mustang, the Varsity Ford of Ann Arbor machine, and he brings it home with a win. Just a great performance by him as well. What a restart. And boy, he put it together when he needed it.
He did, and Petey Cunningham looks like he hung on for a podium there, so he had a strong run there in the last lap or two.
And welcoming Lawson Ossenbach back into World Challenge, the GT champion in 2006. Wins in touring car. What a great run for him. Cal, I'm going to leave it for you. I'm going to head down to the pits for some interviews.
Okay, mate, sounds good. What a great day for the Compass 360 boys. Lawson Aschenbach, the 2006 GT champion, gets a great start on his 2011 campaign. Now, throughout the course of this championship season, we will award the Sunoco Hard Charger Award at every event. And today, it's Devin Cates in the number 23 VW. Started 48th, finished 31st, and finished 7th in the touring car class. Pat Long jumps out of the True Speed Porsche. A great debut run for him. Greg is on his way down to have a chat with him. Let's take a look at the top 10 in each of our 3 classes here today. Behind Pat Long is the 2 GMG teammates, Crescentini and Sophronis. First caddy is 4th with Johnny O'Connell. Rob Morgan rounds out the top 10. In GTS, after a brilliant move down into turn 1 on that restart, Jason Van Klug gets the win over Paul Brown. Veteran and championship winner from last year, Petey Cunningham, finishes 3rd. And in touring car, Aschenbach takes the win over Zitzer. Well, Greg is down there on the grid. Let's see what Pat Long has to say.
Well, we knew it was going to be an interesting race, Pat. At the start of the race on the grid, we talked about traffic and how quick you guys were going to get into it. That was when you made your move. What a race.
Yeah, Randy Popes is a class act. He's a guy I grew up idolizing, so it was great to run with him. He always runs clean, but really hard. I hope I'm half as fast as him when I get into that age group, but it's been fun out there. World Challenge is full of action. More crashes than we wanted, but I think tomorrow it'll be a little bit smoother. Awesome to get the first win for True Speed and the first debut with the team. Just got to say thanks to Charles and Rob Morgan for having me here.
Well, another award that we're looking forward to throughout the course of the year is the Manufacturers Fan Championship Award. It's given to the fans who have represented their brand the best, and today it goes to Cadillac. Now, the winner in GTS was Jason Von Klug, and Greg is down there with our winner today.
The battle you had with the other guys in the class was awesome.
Well, thanks. I think there's a lot of talented guys out here, and this varsity Ford Steeda Mustang just held in there for me all day, and couldn't ask for anything else.
Well, Jason Von Klug got the win here today on the back of this, the Cadillac CTS-V move of the race. Down the inside on Paul Brown on that restart, that got him to victory lane. Lawson Aschenbach took the touring car laurels here today. He won here in 2006 and went on to win the GT Championship. Maybe it's a good omen.
Lawson, you start right where you left off, a win in your debut in touring cars. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, what a wonderful weekend so far. I can't thank Compass 360 and Honda for the opportunity. This Honda Racing HPD Honda Civic was just awesome all race, and we knew we had a shot to win. It was kind of tough at the beginning of the race. Those two guys got together. They had flat tires. I really wish I actually could have maybe fought with them throughout the race. I think it would have been an exciting race for everybody, but we'll take it. We're very happy. We know these guys are going to come back even stronger the next race tomorrow, and we just need to get it done. So thanks to all our sponsors, and we're just thrilled, and I'm very thrilled to be back in World Challenge.
Well, lots of excitement here. There we're looking at the standing start, some contact during the course of this race, and ultimately we got a little bit lucky too. Anyway, we're going to regroup as the teams do the same. Don't go away. Pirelli World Challenge Round 2 is up next. Welcome back to St. Petersburg, Florida, and the Acura Sports Car Challenge presented by Pirelli. Cars assembling on the grid, another beautiful day, but track conditions will be different. A few moments ago, the IndyCar race was completed, so there'll be more rubber down, but there'll be a lot of marbles for these drivers to deal with. Now, as we saw earlier in the broadcast, Shea Holbrook was involved in a very scary accident during the course of round 1. Her participation today was unlikely, but Greg has the latest.
Shea, in that first race, you had that incident, damaged the car too bad to continue. You were looking for funds to get in another car. Guess who stepped in?
Yeah, the Gilbert family really stepped in. I had such a great race on Saturday, and I was really disappointed to get caught up in that wreck. But that's racing, I guess you could say. And I went out in the paddock, and I immediately started making phone calls and texting my friends and family and saying, hey, listen, this is how much I need. I need to get back in the car. I need to get points. And the Compass 360 team had a spare car, and I know that these are really competitive cars. So I spoke to Carl, owner of Compass 360, and said, hey, what do you think? Like, how much can I get here? And he gave me a really great deal, and I really went out of left field and went and talked to the Gilbert girls and said, hey, this is my deal. This is, I want to race. And Mark, their father, said, absolutely, I want you to race. Like, this is going to be the race of your life. And so I got into this car. MyPubs.com, K&N Filters, and Lucas Oil are our primary sponsors. And now the Gilbert girls are on board, so I'm really excited to have them. and this is going to be a great race. I'm starting from the very back, so it's going to be entertaining and fun because I'm just going to start picking people off.
Well, fan support and World Challenge is everything. These are the Gilbert girls, and the only thing Mark said that he wanted recognition for was a little signage on the car. Well, there it is, folks. The Gilbert girls. They're going to be starting here in just a few minutes.
It's going to be fun to watch Shea's progress today, but another driver who is always fun to watch here at St. Petersburg is Randy Post. 3 times in the past he started from the pole. What has he done? He's gone on to victory all 3 times, and he'll start from pole right here today. Now, looking back at last year's race, it was the debut of the Brass Monkey team and the Nissan GTRs. Steve Ott got involved with Pat Lindsay, a heavy shunt, and he talks about overcoming a difficult season.
Yeah, the car was pretty tough. Took it pretty well. You know, if it hadn't pulled a valve stem out, I think I would have just kept going and not even came into the pits. But now we've got a car that's responding, is doing what we need it to do, and we're able to put it where we need to put it on the racetrack. So, fingers crossed, but I think we're sitting pretty good.
Well, now we move from one Nissan to another. The Nissan Z car, the official safety car for World Challenge, is ready to go as the VW Jetta, the official pace car, of course, leads our field on their parade lap. We get ready for those most famous words in motorsport.
On behalf of Pirelli Tire North America and our friends at Optima Battery, drivers, start your engines.
And again, this huge field springs to life. We are off on the formation lap, and do keep in mind, folks, as we're going to show you the starting grid across the top of the screen in a crawl, that the starting positions today were determined by the fastest lap that each car turned in the race yesterday. Thus, Randy Popes, as you talked about, Cal, is on pole. We want to remind you that Grassroots Motorsports Magazine is the media partner of the Pirelli World Challenge Championship, and at each event they're going to be shooting and producing some special inside look videos that you can find on their website at grassrootsmotorsport.com. And the inside look from this event is going to be a much more in-depth check into the different classes that are running here in terms of the technical regulations. So for all of you geeks, you're going to want to run to grassrootsmotorsport.com and get that inside look from our media partner. Well, as the field continues on their formation lap, we're going to step away for just a moment. We'll be back with a standing start for round 2. The Pirelli World Challenge Championships are brought to you by Invisible Glass, America's #1 selling automotive glass cleaner, by Nissan, innovation for all, and by Optima Batteries. With twice the life and 15 times the vibration resistance, they really are the ultimate power source. Welcome back, everybody, to the Acura Sports Car Challenge presented by Pirelli. Let's take a look at our Racekeeper quad box in the upper left. Tommy Dreese in the Rio the Movie Porsche. In the upper right, you'll be on board with Devin Cates in the Cutaway Creations VW. The lower left is Tony Gaples in the Kleinschmidt Corvette. And the lower right, pole sitter in GTS, Paul Brown in the Lucas Oil K&N Filters Mustang. He drove a brilliant race yesterday and got that fast lap, and again, that's what sets their grid position for today's race. The grid is clear. Kathy Malik holds up the 5-second board, and that tells the drivers within 5 seconds those red wheeling lights come on. When they go off, we go racing in round 2. And we're green! Wow, what a launch by Popes, and that is Pat Lindsay's Corvette, absolutely dead stick in the middle of the pack.
That was like Randy Post was launched from a camp. He's in a different zip code. Look at O'Connell banging with the Crescentini and Descalos. Crescentini's around.
Oh, look at the field streaming into him. Those eyes have to be the size of saucers as he watched that entire field come by. Some great driving by the drivers deeper in the pack. They're all clear, and somehow Crescentini, other than that first nudge, Cal, is unscathed.
Well, he's got a lot of work to do now. Nearly 50 cars in this field. It's going to be hard work to get back to the front of this pack. We know he has a fast race car, however. Meanwhile, at the front, Greg, it looks like it's clean sailing as we now look at the GTS contenders.
Yep, Brown right in front of Foss, and you'll notice Mike Skeen has made the start. That yellow vet has that white nose, making him fairly easy to pick out, and Foss already starting to heat the pressure on Brown. Got that tail wagging big time through the right-hander, and there you see Tommy Dreese in the midst of that GTS pack. He didn't have the start he wanted and fell back a bit in that Rio the Movie. It's a different sponsor today because the movie he had on the car in round 1 opened last night.
Great stuff. Well, Foss is certainly going to be a championship contender. We know his ability. He was the MX-5 Cup champ back in 2008 and Rookie of the Year in touring car in 2009, and now he's got that heavy muscle underneath him. Meanwhile, out front, Randy Post with a healthy lead. Pat Long has dropped back a position. Sofronis has got around him.
James Sofronis has been awfully good. Every time he's raced at St. Pete, he's finished on the podium. Never won it, though. That's what he would like to do. There is Steve Ott, the lone Nissan in the field today. Tony Rivera, that incident he had yesterday, car just too damaged to be able to fix. Oh, and Devin Cates. Boy, there's the big slide for life. Doesn't hit anybody, but that track is a mess.
Wow, you got the hard charge reward yesterday, but that was charging it a little too deep down in there in the final corner. Now this is the Optima Batteries Best Starting Award, and it goes to Rob Holland in that C30 Volvo.
So the K-Pax Touring Car program sweeps both of those Optima Standing Start Awards. A good debut for that program. Meanwhile, watching James Sofronis, and as he sits in that beautiful Global Motorsports Group blue and white Porsche, sits right now in the middle of Post and Long. Oh, Sofronis catching that big slide, Cal.
Well, I think what Randy Post was doing, he was looking up ahead. You could see all the carnage there where Devin Cates took that ride. He got on the brakes really early, and James nearly got caught by surprise there. Good avoidance.
Oh, and James, you can't even see him behind Post. Is he going to try and make a move? He moves to the inside. Sofronis down the inside. Post leaves him room. He's got him. He's through. James
Superb move. What a power move by James Sofronis. He wants the lead. He wants it early. Finished third here yesterday. He wants more today.
And that really happened by just a great launch out of that last turn.
And you'd have to think that Randy Post with that all-wheel drive would have got through that debris a little bit more effectively, getting the power down, but James Sofronis timed it perfectly, and now Pat Long is all over the back of that S60 Volvo.
He's in a sandwich, isn't he? Two Porsches and the Volvo right smack dab in the middle, and you've got that rear engine, rear drive, the front engine, all-wheel drive. That's what makes the World Challenge so exciting. Now, on board with Tristan Herbert, and this is a move down to the inside of Chip Herr.
Wow, Chip made it easy though. He left the door open. Maybe he's just trying to be patient here today. Smoke as the field comes through turn 9 there. Can't see any major problem, but Chip Herr has dropped a position back to Herbert, who had the lead. Remember, coming down through this area yesterday, there's a little bit of argy-bargy when Herbert had lost his front tire.
Yeah, both of them suffered from it, both of them ending out of the race, so being a little bit more cautious today. Your class leaders, James Sofronis out front in GT, Paul Brown in GTS, and Tristan Herbert in Touring. Welcome back to the Acura Sports Car Challenge, presented by Pirelli here in the streets of St. Pete. Second round of the 2011 Pirelli World Challenge Championship. Had some developments here. Big move there by Lawson Aschenbach, getting around Chip Herr. Just got a great run out of that corner.
He really did. This is a move for second. Remember, he won round 1 here yesterday, and that little Civic SI is looking really good around these streets.
Very effective. And we also have a bit of a moment here. This is not so good for Aaron Povolato in that beautiful K-Pax C30. Had such a great run yesterday, but problems today. Back to live action, and there is the man right now, James Sofronis. He has worked traffic beautifully on top of catching it at just the right points and has managed to open up a pretty nice gap.
He really looks under control right now. He's won 4 World Challenge races before. Now Pat Long is up to second. Popes has dropped back.
And of course, if you want to follow what's going on in the world of World Challenge when we're not at the races, social media, plenty of opportunities there for all the latest news and views on World Challenge. Go to world-challenge.com. If you want to check out cool in-car videos, driver interviews, watch this and any other race of the season, go to world-challengetv.com. And if you want to do a little bit of chatting about World Challenge, you can search World Challenge GT, GTS, and the Touring Car Series, interact with other fans, and post your race pictures and video. That is on the Facebook group. And for World Challenge, for the Pirelli World Challenge, as they are now the title sponsor. Very fortunate to have them on board in that capacity, as well as providing these great slick tires. They've obliterated all the track records here. You would expect that. But they also have performed flawlessly. And after the short race in round 1, Cal, with that long yellow, the drivers were all wondering how are they going to last. And so far, these tires seem to be doing a great job in this long run.
Yeah, everything looks really good. The teams and the drivers are really ecstatic about this Pirelli race tire. First time that the series has run with anything other than a DOT-approved, basically a street tire, so there's a lot more grip available. Post we're looking at now, he's dropped down to third. Now, this is last year's championship-winning car. They're going to debut a new body style, a new S60 in the 4th round at Miller, I understand. So they're going to get through these street races with the old car and then switch gears a little bit.
Yeah, and that will be a 2-car program once again, and I believe an old sports car and IndyCar driver by the name of Alex Figge is going to be behind the wheel of the second car.
Yeah, he'll be awfully tough too, so it'll be a strong threat from the K-Pax team once again.
And as Randy working through some traffic, got a great shot of that beautiful blue Mustang of Jason DeSalvo, who is putting in a superb run today, coming up through the pack, as you see Sofronis working some lap traffic as well, going by Nick Kasayan in that HPD real-time Acura. Sofronis, that Global Motorsports Group Porsche, just singing right now as he's got himself a lot of room. Oh, and we've had a big shunt. That's Carolyn Quila, who's up on the tires, and that looks like Ernie Jakubowski and that Mantis Racing Porsche Cayman has been involved as well.
And if they try to go side by side through that section of racetrack, there's really no room, and we can see She has perched atop those tires, but maybe there's not too much damage. Here we look at it again, and that's exactly what happened. Jakubowski went to the inside, got pinched a little bit.
And as a result, boy, did Carolyn have a high-speed ride over and up on top of those tires. So we're under caution. Let's take a look at our leaders in the categories. The GT at Safronis over Long, Popes, and Daskalos. GTS, Paul Brown over Eric Foss, Cunningham, and Hussein. And in touring cars, Herbert leads Aschenbach, Hare, and Zitza. Continuing under caution here at the Acura Sports Car Challenge of St. Petersburg, presented by Pirelli. And as you can see the field just kind of regrouping behind that beautiful VW pace car. You look back in this great field and this depth of talent, and that first beautiful silver Cadillac CTS-V Coupe is piloted by Andy Pilgrim. He's been in the wars a little bit. You can see the wrinkle. Of course, he's got a lot of history with this great marque. We asked him to give us a tour and a look at the return of Caddy.
I'm Andy Pilgrim, and we're here in St. Petersburg, Florida for rounds 1 and 2 of the World Challenge Series 2011. I'm very excited to be back with Cadillac. It's been 2-3 years since Cadillac was in the World Challenge Series. It's going to be great. 2005, Cadillac managed to win the Manufacturer Championship and the Drivers' Championship. 2007, we also won the Manufacturers. We're very excited to be back. Cadillac wants to do something about raising that awareness of performance and street, and I know there's a guy right here from GM, John Kramer, can tell us a little bit more.
Cadillac is very excited to be back. We've just launched our all-new CTS-V Coupe, and what a better place than the racetrack to show the performance credentials of this new and exciting vehicle. We know we've got a lot of tough competition out there with the likes of Volvo and Porsche, and we feel that we fit very well competing with those teams and are going to have a great season.
Well, it was a wonderful era when they were here before. It's great to have them back, but Cal, a huge story developing with this man, Tristan Herbert, leading in the touring car class, but inadvertently, apparently, took a wave around with some GTS cars. That's got to be sorted out.
It does, because the wave around procedure is really aimed at protecting cars from being caught a lap behind the class leader. Tristan is the class leader, he's right behind the pace car, and he got waved around, essentially gaining a lap on the field. He may have to come to pit lane to serve a penalty here.
And usually when those situations happen, you serve that penalty under green, but I think they're going to try and slot him in where he should be so that it'll actually be race order and he won't go down a lap. But it's time to get to racing. All right, here we go. About to start lap 18. The VW pace car is in. It's Safronis. Brings it down nice and slow. They've been told to maintain the pace that the pace car sets, and been pretty slow through that last turn, and these guys are doing it to perfection. And also, it doesn't bother him too much that it does nullify some of that Volvo's boost. Now we go green, and again, Gaples and Crescentini make huge moves. This time, Popes moves over well to defend. I think he learned his lesson.
He did. He got absolutely swamped here yesterday. Now he's going side by side with Daskalos down into turn 1, but Popes hangs on to third for now.
Wow, and you also saw Crescentini going in way deep on the brakes and got those two caddies kind of shifting offline just a little bit. There is Dino. Remember, after that first lap start moment in turn 1, he's come all the way through this field.
Fantastic drive by him. He's now starting to put the pressure on. That's Skeen in front of him along with another Porsche, so there's a fierce battle, but this is really the break that Pat Long wanted. Safronis had really gapped the rest of this field, but with that caution period, everyone stacked back up. Can Pat Long now pants for his second win of the weekend?
And look at Tony Gaples, that black Kleinschmidt Black Dog Speed Shop Corvette, continuing to hold off Mike Skeen all over the back of him. Skeen takes a look. Boy, it's a tough place to make a pass down into this turn, but he gets in clean. And I think Tony realized that he was through, gave him lots of room. Boy, you mess it up there, and that battle for fifth, it's going to go badly. And I think everybody using their heads at that moment.
Yeah, everyone thought better of getting involved, but certainly had the potential to get ugly very, very quickly. We still see that debris off there to the exit of that final corner there where Devin Cates took the ride very early in this race. But up front, Pat Long now right in the pressure zone for James Safronis. He can no longer run his lines. He gets a little bit wide there, misses the apex. Can Long take advantage? Crescentini down to the inside.
Oh, and Paul Brown damaged to the left front corner. It's cut the tire down, and that is smoke that is pouring off of that damaged wheel. He's just trying to limp it around to the pit. So after a great run yesterday, our pole sitter struggling. Cal, here's what happened.
Goes down to the inside of turn 8. There's not enough room there. Clips a car. And then coming onto the back straightaway there, just runs out wide. I think he might have brushed the wall there. And that's what cut down that tire. He's close to pit lane, but it's still going to cost him valuable time. And these teams really aren't geared up to make fast and rapid tire changes, so this is going to cost him monumental track position right now.
Yeah, it's going to be a big hit in the points, too, after looking like he was going to have a couple of podiums. Now, here we go, back to this great battle for 6. Gaples in front of Crescentini, who's been able to get around Rob Morgan. So Crescentini's march to the front continues, but it's been blocked now by a very quick Tony Gaples.
Well, he's done a tremendous job holding down this 6th position, but look at the experience behind him. He's got Crescentini, Morgan, Pilgrim, and O'Connell. The battle's on.
And up front there is James Safronis. Boy, he'd like to bring Porsche back on top.
And for me personally, winning a championship is, for me, it would be nice, but I'm really focused also taking care of my teammates. As a team owner, it's very important that those guys do well, but no doubt about it, I'm going to drive pretty aggressive this year to win the championship, but also keep my head about me, because you got to win, you got to finish every race, and that's the key to winning a championship.
And of course, equally important for James to bring Porsche a championship for the manufacturers as well, and that's absolutely key for all these guys. Meanwhile, Eric Foss, unbelievable drive he's put in with Paul Brown's problems, remember, in that number 50 we saw with the damage. And that is, I think Nick Asayan has gone around over in turn 1, also in that GTS category, that Eric Foss now has a fairly comfortable little lead in at this point. Asayan, don't know if he got any help. Yeah, we're going to take a look and see if we can figure out what may happen.
Yeah, coming down into, the salvo there got into it with another Mustang, and that got into Nick Asayan. Really just an innocent bystander on that one for Nick, but he loses many positions there, as you can see the field stream by.
Meanwhile, here's the leader in that class, Eric Foss. This is an amazing story with this car. It was a Mustang Challenge car. SPX bought it, fixed it up, then put it up for sale at a Barrett-Jackson auction with the sole purpose of raising money for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. Trax has bought it, now racing it, and they've said we're going to raise money all season long with this program. Phenomenal stuff what they're doing here. And Cal, speaking of phenomenal stuff, we hop on board with Tristan Herbert. Remember the story about the wave around and the possible penalty? He served it, and look at this. That's Chipper in front of him. He's run him down.
Well, if he does get the lead and gets the win, this will be an emotional one, because he had the lead, then it all went away with that penalty. Now he's running down Chip Her, potentially going to get his first pro victory here, but there's a long way to go, and these streets of St. Petersburg can be treacherous.
Now, apparently he and that VW well suited to these streets. Let's take a look at our class leaders. James Safronis leads in GT, Eric Foss in GTS, and Chip Her hanging on in touring car. The Pirelli World Challenge Championships are brought to you by the Cadillac V-Series, the 556 horsepower CTS-V coupe, sedan, and wagon, the world's fastest family of cars. By Privacy Star, the only complete privacy and preference service available for smartphones. And by Racekeeper, one of the world's most capable and trusted providers of video data loggers. Welcome back to the action as you are watching an interesting development here. James Safronis, Calvin, he has caught some serious traffic here. He gets by cleanly. Boy, he may have needed that. Let's see. Yes, Long able to sneak through as well. And another nice move by Safronis, but Long is able to follow him through. That big margin Safronis had is gone.
It is gone. It basically went away after that caution period, and Pat has really stayed within a second or so of the rear bumper with that GMG Porsche. Oh, Popes! Major damage to the right front corner. What a surprise. The guy he's won every time he started on the pole here at St. Petersburg. It's not going to happen again.
Oh, serious contact, as you point out. The only question is, was he helped, or did it happen on his own? The car, he's trying to get it, I think, being Randy Popes. He's just trying to move it out of harm's way and get out of the way of oncoming traffic to let this race be able to continue. But that is one damaged Volvo.
Well, he's got three-wheel drive right now, because one of them's not working, that's for sure.
Steam emanating out of the hood. That car has been seriously harmed. And the good news is, obviously, if Randy was able to drive it away, he's doing okay. Let's see if we can suss out what happened here, Cal.
Yeah, we're on board with him now as he's going through turn 3. Oh, and he just gets wide, just didn't have the grip. He just plows into that outside barrier, so I'm not sure. I didn't see any other traffic, anyone else involved pushing him out wide. But look at this. Pat Long has got the lead.
Well, we saw them in some serious traffic, and Long able to get through. See if we can find out what happened. On board with Safronis. Woo!
Same place where Pat Long got the lead from Randy Post, but this time he dives to the inside.
Boy, Pat Long has no problems running side by side in awfully fast sections of track. And look at this battle in the GTS category. Foss now has P.D. Cunningham all over his deck. Here we go, working traffic, they're coming through. Foss,
P.D. hooks it up there. Ooh. And then Randy Post is on the exit of that corner. That was wild. That was really crazy.
Let's see, that's Mike Skeen coming by, and that may have actually helped Foss because there was nothing Petey could do with Skeen coming up the inside. He had to wait. Foss able to hang on. Now as they work through the very tricky S's section here on this St. Petersburg street circuit, and Foss showing some smoke as well.
He does, but Petey Cunningham knows there's strengths and weaknesses with his car. But meanwhile, back up front, Pat Long is now feeling the pressure from Sofronis once again. This traffic again plays a factor.
And it is going to be Long. Oh, and he got through that car in perfect position, and it really parked Sofronis. And Sofronis, as a result, lost 3-4 car lengths, Cal, and the white flag is coming out. 1 lap to go. The question is, can they catch Long? And if they catch traffic, can Long defend?
Well, he's got the experience, certainly. He's one of the masters behind the wheels of one of these Porsches. He's really established himself as one of North America's leading lights in sports car racing. Has won all of the big endurance classics, and now on his debut at St. Petersburg for this True Speed team, he's looking for his second win of the weekend. A great run so far, but there's still half a lap to go. Anything can happen as he really gets on the power early. Sofronis looks to the inside.
Oh, traffic
right there. One of the Momentum Camaros.
That's Artie Topi in the Momentum car, parked Long, but then when they went through, it's a section of track where nothing Sofronis could do, just not wide enough to try anything, and he stays tucked in behind Long.
Pat Long's in one of the 2010 Porsches. That number 14 of James Sofronis is one of the new 2011 cars. There's not much difference between them. As you can see, they're going neck and neck here for the victory with just a few corners to go.
Heading up into that very quick right-left combination. That is 11 there, then 12. To the left, and it's all about now, and there is some traffic. It depends on the launch out of this turn. Doesn't look like Pat's going to get hung up, exiting the corner, rolls into the throttle. Sofronis giving it everything he can, and not enough. Pat Long dives to the checker to protect, and he doubles it up. He sweeps the weekend, and Sofronis, who led by far and away the most laps in this one, must be gutted.
He really has to be, man. It looked like he had the race under control. That caution really erased the lead that had built up over the rest of this field. But Pat Long using his experience, and now Foss coming through for that GTS victory.
He's got a car in between he and Cunningham, actually a few cars, so Foss is going to be able to hang on. As up front you can see all the smoke from Long's car, and watch for it here. There is Petey bringing it home in second, and Eric Foss. That great story continues for this very special vehicle. With that charity work that this team and the team that sold it at the auction have been able to do. And Foss, too, says, I want a piece of that donut, and starts having at it here. What a great celebration for this man. Welcome back to World Challenge. It's been great having him along.
That is really, really cool. He's got the horsepower to do it, and he's burning up those Pirellis.
Well, from what we've seen already, they can take it. Look at Tristan Herbert. He's got Lassen Ossenbach has reeled him in. This is for the win. Onto the front straight they go. Lassen thinks about it. Herbert, a little bit better exit. He draws away. I think he has just become the poster boy for SCCA Regional Club Racing, making a step and winning in World Challenge in only his 3rd pro race. What an amazing story for this young man. With that, Cal, I'm going to head down to Victory Circle. I leave it to you.
Okay, mate, I'll pick up the reins here in the booth. What a tremendous day for Tristan Herbert. Just a stellar run to come back from that drama in the middle of the race and get the car back up front and feeling the pressure from Lawson Aschenbach. Now, whilst Greg heads downstairs to talk to the winners, let's take a look at our overall results from here in St. Petersburg, Florida, and round 2. Pat Long, the big win. James Sofronis so close but finishes second. Mike Skeen rounds out the top 3. Now, as we look at second page here, 13th overall, first in GTS, Eric Foss, his first World Challenge win. What a day for him, and the veteran Petey Cunningham. He's looking for a 7th championship this year. He finishes second. Tristan Hebert, that you see there in 24th spot, he wins touring car, a dramatic victory. Lawson Aschenbach right on his tail, and Randy Post after the accident finishes 13th in class. And then Paul Brown, he was the pole sitter here in GTS. He finishes 34th overall after drama with his Mustang. There we see Randy Popst. He's surveying the damage after not the day and the weekend he was looking for. And there we see the car of Devin Cates. Well, guess what? We're going to reward our Sunoco Hard Charge reward once again this weekend. And Devin Cates, for the 2nd race in a row, started 40th overall, ended up 28th. What a dramatic run here. You can see him right at the start. Ultimately finished 4th in the touring car class. Let's take another look at that GT finish. Narrowly taking the win here today, it's Pat Long, 2 for 2 on his debut run for the True Speed team, and his crew are certainly ecstatic. Let's get down to pit lane where Greg has caught up with him.
Less than 2 laps from the end, you made the pass on Sofronis. You were carrying a little extra weight. You adjusted, obviously, beautifully to it. What a race.
Yeah, James drove great. My strategy was to save my tires running that heavy. I knew if I pushed early on, I wasn't going to have tires at the end. He had the legs on me. He drove brilliantly, and I just had to play the traffic to my favor and then run like hell. But Porsche GT3, unbelievable around a street course. I know we're going to have to work hard in the between the weeks when we get onto the bigger tracks, because there's some other manufacturers in the World Challenge with a lot of horsepower, but that's why we love this racing, because it's different every single weekend.
Here's a look at the GT driver standings presented by Volvo. Pat Long with a massive lead after sweeping. Greg stands by with James Sofronis, who finishes second.
James obviously just couldn't quite get her there at the end.
You know, hats off to Pat. Obviously, he's a great driver, very accomplished. You know, I definitely wanted this one back again, but it should be good TV. Pat and I were door-hander to door-hander a couple times, and I knew he wouldn't move me over, and I wouldn't do it to him. So, but hats off to the guys. Awesome job, Todd Aki and Gary and Steve and the whole group. They do an amazing job.
Let's take a look at the GT manufacturers' standings. Porsche leads over Cadillac, Volvo, and Nissan. And in touring car today, it was certainly a battle out there. It was a thriller that went right down to the wire. Herbert inches Aschenbach at the line. Greg is standing by with our winner today.
Then we see you in this one after leading, sitting in pit lane for a penalty. Tell us what that was about. But then to come back from a penalty and win the thing. Way to go, Tristan.
You know, it was really confusing there for a second. I didn't know what was going on. I kept, my crew was real calm and collective about it. I was the one panicking in the car. And I guess we had gotten a wave by from one of the officials, so we went around, did the wave by, and then nobody else followed. So he said, "I'm really sorry." So I had to come in and do the pit out and sit here and wait. And they said, "Wait for the number 07 Porsche." And I see Chip go by as the number 07, and I'm like, "Oh man, now I'm just lost a position." So, I fought back up there and it got up around Chip, and we were able to use some lap traffic to get around and just kind of tucked in behind a couple faster cars. And just made it happen, man. But it was everything I could do to keep it off the wall towards the end. The tires are fantastic. Those Pirelli tires are actually incredible. And so that's just how it turned out. It turned out great.
Now here are the touring car drivers' standings presented by Volvo. Aschenbach leads with a healthy 54 points over Herbert, who got that first win. Zitzer rounds out the top 5. Now let's take a look at the touring car manufacturers' standings. You see Volkswagen and Honda tied there at the top on 17 points. And Volvo rounds out the top 3. Now let's move on to the Cadillac CTSV move of the race. Pat Long takes his second win of the weekend here at St. Pete, and he did it with a brilliant inside move, using traffic to get around James Sofronis for the lead of this race. As we see the checkers for the GTS victory of Eric Foss, who takes the win over P.D. Cunningham, last year's series champ. But Foss is off to a great start as he wins race 2 of this Petersburg doubleheader.
You had the pole yesterday and you got shuffled back a little bit. Today you came right back up.
Petey was giving us everything he had, and he's just getting gaps. And I thought at first maybe I could just ease it a little bit, but he was pushing so hard. I got caught up in a little bit of traffic. These Pirelli tires worked awesome all weekend. I was probably overdriving them a little bit. These Mustangs are really heavy cars, but St. Jude's, Traxxas, Amsoil, and SPX gave me this opportunity. It was a phone call 3 weeks ago, literally. Leo Capaldi and his team thrashed and got this car together. The first time it turned a wheel was on Friday morning, and so it's just a testament to these guys in the Ford power plant that we have in this car.
Finally, the GTS driver standings presented by Volvo. Eric Foss with that big win here on day 2. Well, he leads the championship standings over Jason Van Klug, who had the win here yesterday. P.D. Cunningham in 3rd. The GTS manufacturer standings, it's Ford at the top with 20 points, followed by Acura with 12. Well, what a fabulous weekend of racing here in St. Pete as the crews now get ready to head over to the other coast, over to the west coast for Long Beach. They've got a few weeks to prepare these cars, but the final award of the weekend is the Manufacturers Fan Championship Award. We're down at the Cadillac hospitality area, and the Cadillac fans are celebrating a great run by their cars. They had 50 CTSV owners on hand here today, and they were cheering on Andy Pilgrim and Johnny O'Connell. Greg has made his way back to the booth. Fantastic day of racing, mate.
It has been a great weekend of racing, and all these cars on the street course, Cal, it's been spectacular, and we're off to another one.
We are, and street races are typically all about survival. There was a massive field here, and we expect more of the same over in Long Beach.
Absolutely. The Roar by the Shore awaits. It is going to be a great one. So glad you could be here for our coverage from St. Pete. For Calvin Fish, I'm Greg Creamer. We'll see you from the beach. Take care, everybody.